one. Loki's another good example. You see, some people say Loki is still good, and I feel like that's cope. Hello. So this is obviously a video about Loki. Initially, when I had made the Warframe and meta video, I said that Loki is good, is cope, and I am here to refute that statement, but also, kind of also agree with myself. So, a lot of people in the comments were saying that Loki is a pretty good frame, that he has some high tier usage and such. I wanted to see what they were talking about and came down to the conclusion that it only comes down to really two things: invisibility, radial disarm, which irradiated disarm, which is the augment, is pretty good, but you're not going to be really doing anything other than drawing heat off of yourself. He kind of works as a team player, because with radial disarms, irradiated disarm, enemies will just start attacking each other, so obviously your teammates benefit from it more than you do, because you have one of the fastest invisibilities in the game without any real technicality to that. The problem with Loki boils down to a few of his abilities, mainly Switch Teleport, which is finicky at best, but also pretty borderline useless. A lot of other frames have good teleport abilities that allow credence and allow him to do other things, like Kullervo's Wrathful Advance allows him to teleport basically at will, and if he targets an enemy, it allows them to perform a heavy attack on them, so it's a lot better. But also his one is decoy, and decoy just kind of sucks. So the way I remedied this and made it pretty good is by subsuming his one with Fire Blast. So my build requires dump statting strength because it doesn't affect radial disarm. So you can get the effect you need off of something like this. Come in here, upgrade. I'm running 2 Archon shards and then a blue one as well, but I'm running Overextended, Continuity, Intensify, Rolling Guard, Flow, Stretch, Irradiated Disarm, and then Natural Talent. The reason I'm running this kind of build specifically is because Fire Blast requires 2 casts regardless of strength, because it subsumed on it only goes up to 75, so we can dump stat strength so we can get overextended because it doesn't affect radial disarm. I did a hour, nearly a half survival the other day on stream. I don't remember the exact timing me and the other guy that were there went to. It honestly really worked. The only thing I had trouble with is the fact that I have a dead ability, and also 2 casts on Fire Blast is extremely expensive constantly. Luckily, Nautilus is pretty much clears that up a lot. But the bad things about it is unless you have Helminth, you have 2 abilities that are practically useless. Decoy doesn't really do anything, especially because you can just go invisible, so it's definitely one of those things that it was part of a different version of the game. Invisibility, though, is awesome. Obviously, a low-cost ability that grants you invis without having to do anything is obviously going to outperform most other invisibilities. Ivara's cloak arrow is good, but it's only a small radius. This is just perma invis for however long you duration buff it to. I'm running okay. I'm running okay duration because to supplement this, but honestly, it's another one of the dump stats. You don't really need it because you're going to be using radial disarm a lot. And this pretty much, if you hold out a choke point, there's nothing enemies can do. But also, I did get told during the stream of me testing him, radial disarm doesn't require LOS checks, which means in a pretty big circle around you, every enemy is going to lose their weapon. I think with this build, I get a 47 meter radius around me, which is extremely strong, and I think that's understating it, especially in the video. But this honestly is probably the best build I would be able to get, other than probably like maybe pillage building, but that's achieving extremely high strength stat, which the rest of his moves do not require. The good thing is disarm is extremely strong, and I see why people are saying that, but also his base kit is just weak enough that you have to build specifically around that, and then specifically for something to be in his 1 or 3. I preferred the 1 because honestly, decoy is just awful. But radial disarm does obviously have some downsides. I mean, for most standard units, it's pretty good. Like, objectively, very, very good. Just being able to do that, 47 meters. The cost is relatively high, but the value is good. They will not end up killing each other. I've never had a scenario where I've seen an enemy kill their ally with it, and obviously it's probably not built for that, but also effective HP. So this is why we're using Fire Blast. He has no other way to really ensure that an enemy will take more damage. He doesn't have any buff moves or anything like that. So our best bet is Subsuming Fire Blast. Knocks, first off, forced CC, knocks down, but also armor strip. It does require 2 casts, which does get a little costly, but it's better than not having it at all and then not being able to effectively kill stuff enough. Obviously, that's not his role. His role is radial disarm, but Fire Blast is a very, very, very nice cherry on top that allows you to at least get a little bit of fragging potential. Switch teleport decoy, not really that important. It's basically your pick which one you want to take off. But there, like, obviously there are some enemies that aren't affected. Anything with overguard seems to just completely ignore it, but also Sanctum Anatomica enemies will not lose their arm cannons. I don't remember their name. It's just a mishmash of words, but the standing ones with the arm cannons, they don't lose them. They're actually completely unaffected by them. The dogs do get knocked down. I think the murmur fragments themselves do get knocked down, and I think that's the extent of that interaction. They don't lose anything really, they just crumple. Sometimes ospreys will fall. I'm guaranteeing you, if I show you right now, they're just going to do it for me. I need to scan all this, but this will work. Sometimes they won't though. And it's very hard to tell when they're going to. Need to activate them. Not that it's an insanely, like, bad thing, but, like, the chances of them closing up, I think it's because of irradiated disarm. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't had any luck even without the augment, so maybe it's just like a here and there kind of thing. But honestly, yeah, I kind of said that without actually, like, playing him in years, he's not exactly the strongest. There are better frames out there, but there's not really a good frame that has a guaranteed through the wall disarm, and I think that's pretty respectable. He does hinge a lot on his weapon if you do try to build him for general purpose content. I realize that the reason he's good is because of Void Cascade. That's currently what people are running him in, because he disarms the Thrax units, which is obviously a surprise. I don't know if that goes through their overguard or not. I did not test that one specifically. But honestly, I do apologize to Loki himself. I did not expect to, first off, have fun playing him. That is very, very shocking to me. But I'm also, my initial suspicion with him, with Radial Disarm being bad, I did get corrected by somebody, and I do appreciate that. Initially, what I thought happened is he does not hit through walls, and he had a bad line of sight check, because a lot of frames do, Ember does, that kind of stuff. Older frames get pretty much shafted with LOS checks for no reason, especially how level geometry is nowadays. So I was like, okay, well, it's just a cone in front of you, but I got corrected on stream, which was very cool, because nothing I saw was really stating what it was exactly. I think it's just fallen out of favor pretty hard. But again, he does require you to have a pretty good build on your weapon to ensure he gets the maximum value if you are running him on normal content. But for CC itself, it's really, really good. You just have to watch your small HP pool. That's why I'm running Rolling Guard, and also Invis, but CC, or like, not CC, but explosive damage and stuff like that will still just nuke you. He has such a small HP pool that it's really difficult to manage it. If you take a slash proc, if you take a toxin proc, it's Rolling Guard's gonna save your life a lot. Overall, I haven't really tested any other builds because this is what I found like comfortable with. There's not really any standout like abilities in his kit other than disarm, so that's just basically the build I went with. Again, did it like an hour and a half survival run with this. Didn't really struggle. I struggled a little bit to keep myself alive, but that could have been like anything to latency, to acolyte spawns, that kind of stuff, or just not realizing my shield broke or invis dropped, that kind of thing. Overall, I will say Loki is good. I do think DE needs to show him some love though, because 2 abilities in his kit are completely dead abilities. Supposedly we're getting an augment for his 1, which stores damage and then blows it back out, which could be good, but again, switch teleport, especially in late game content, is basically unusable, because teleporting into the middle of an enemy crowd is not exactly what you should be doing on a fragile frame that pretty much like hydrogen bomb crying baby kind of thing. So overall, since I've tested him, played around with him for like quite a bit, I do think he is worth playing. I don't think that he should be, or I think he should be buffed, changed in some way. Radial Disarm, invisibility should stay the same, but his 1 and 3, they need to get changed, or at least tuned to this game. Switch teleport could be cool if it was more like Wrathful Advance, like if it gave you something for doing it, but instead it's just a kind of annoying and frustrating animation, which first off requires you to absolutely look at an enemy. It doesn't even have I lie, apparently, but I don't know, like a lengthy teleport animation, and this is with 75% cast speed. But I do think it should be, you should get like a buff or something, kind of like Wrathful Advance's critical chance buff, where, I don't know, maybe like Ash's teleport, where you teleport and are able to do a finisher, or you teleport and it insta-procs like a half duration invisibility, just something. Because a lot of the time, from what I've experienced, is if you switch teleport an enemy that you're supposed to confuse, they just end up turning around and instantly shooting again. Maybe that's just in my experience, maybe I just don't realize it. But I do think at least it should be tuned a little bit. Decoy, I think, is just fundamentally not a good ability. And the reason I think that is because there's just Octavia abilities. Octavia just objectively is better on her one. I don't think we really have other decoy abilities, but also there's just not really a point to it when you could just subsume it off for Fire Blast, Nourish, anything like strong that you can kill an enemy faster with. Overall though, I do think Loki is a pretty good frame. Just needs some love. Radial Disarm's awesome. Fire Blast is my go-to subsume on frames that I dump stat strength with, because you can't really use Terrify or Pillage with it. They just don't armor strip enough. Invisibility is always nice, especially one that I just click a button and I just go invisible. So this is a formal apology to Loki. Testing him out was pretty fun, figuring out what I was doing. I tried to use Smite on him, but it didn't like work in higher level content. He just can't break through armor as easily, and shields he has nothing in his kit to fix, so you are pretty much relying on disarm to allow you to get that opening. But with this build, and I'll pop it up again just in case, using this I've gotten tons of value. Like, Fire Blast has a 58 meter, nearly 59 if it rounds up, radius, which is extremely good. The only problem with it is, as we all know, Ember has extremely bad line of sight checks, so sometimes it can be a little frustrating. Radial Disarm with a 47 meter range, and then invisibility with just 18 seconds. Switch teleport if you feel like using it, 176 meters. It's good if you're doing like Cetus bounties or something that you need to extract a target, because you can just insta teleport them if they don't have like that already given to them. Overall though, pretty fun. Just wish he'll get some love. Hopefully he does. Hydroid had his really good rework. Grendel got his really good rework. So hopefully next on the shopping block are frames like Loki that could really use that love. Thank you for watching. Next video was requested, so it's going to be about Nyx, because somebody got really intrigued by me playing Nyx, and I want to make a video on that. So thank you very much for watching and all of the support. I'll be doing that within the next week, so thank you very much. Have a good one.